Let's talk about some of the protests overnight, because we have to turn our attention to this ugliness. More protests, four nights in a row now that these protests have been happening, and they've been smashing storefronts, smashing cars. Just take a look at the map right now, because this is where we saw it in Portland, we saw it in some different cities, but look at this. It's now even spread to Florida, upwards Boston, up into Detroit.
Hold it now.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. At this very hour, protests are happening across the country for the third straight night over the election of Donald Trump as president of the United States. We'll be monitoring the scene throughout the hour. After adopting a relatively conciliatory tone in the first 48 hours after his victory, Trump last night abandoned that posture to assail the protesters, tweeting, "Just at a very open and successful presidential election, now professional protesters incited by the media are protesting. Very unfair."
Well, it's been 8 days since the election was held, and across the country, dazed college students are finally emerging from their safe zones into the glare of daylight with bullhorns and signs in their hands.
Don't do anything! Hey, trying to start a riot! We're trying to back up!
Look, we have a lot of problems to solve in this country. We've got an economy that's, been sputtering. There's opportunity here for growth. We've got public schools. We've got education system in general that needs reform. I mean, these kids should be in the classroom studying the issues that we're talking about in this election, not on the streets protesting. We've got a lot of work to do. And the problem right now is you see all this activity, and it's not addressing the real needs in the country. And so I would just encourage these protesters to step back and say, what can I actually be doing in my community to be helping people out in the streets, throwing rocks, throwing bottles, rioting? It's just not the way to go right now.
Oh my God! Dude, this Miata's drifting. Oh, now these guys are...
I'm just encouraging people right now, it's okay to operate on your raw energy and emotion, because our voices must be... Look at Trump's tweet, the tweet you just showed. He's talking about just had a great presidential election, and now these protesters are out here. Very unfair, very unfair. That he's rattled already?
Right.
I mean, this should be the happiest week of his life.
We should
and he's up,
It is a remarkable thing. I think a lot of people across all sorts of parts of the ideological spectrum were really taken aback by that tweet last night, although no one should be surprised.
But all protesters, be honored by this, that he's already the thin-skinned Donald Trump. Imagine what's going to happen when the crowds double tonight and triple tomorrow night.
Demonstrators have taken to the streets across the U.S. for a second day to vent their anger over Donald Trump's presidential election victory. They fear the billionaire businessman's political triumph will deal a blow to civil rights. Mostly the protests were peaceful, but police declared a riot in Portland, Oregon, as a demonstration turned violent in the northwestern city. Elsewhere, demonstrators blocked traffic in Minneapolis and Los Angeles. Denver in Colorado saw one of the largest protests. Hundreds marched in Dallas, and people again took to the streets of New York and Washington. Overall numbers at last night's protests were said to have been smaller than on Wednesday night. Again, young people dominated the crowds. The president-elect himself described them in a tweet as professional protesters incited by the media.
Racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, sizeism, ableism, white supremacy, capitalism, imperialism, all of that terrible stuff.
Wow.
They are signs like this one that you can see here. Please tell me what your sign says first of all.
My sign says, "I can't believe I still have to protest for civil rights."
What brought you guys out here to protest against Donald Trump?
I think a lot of us are just in utter shock and disbelief. Obviously, the forecast did not predict this outcome, and a lot of us don't really know what else to do. So we're just here doing what we can do.
Do me a favor, describe the crowd in terms of the mixture and how people have been so far.
Well, I mean, obviously we see a lot of people of color and people of different backgrounds, which is very, very nice to see. Coming from Nebraska, I don't see that very often. And everybody has been very peaceful so far, so it's been very nice out here.
Gotcha. You guys are obviously, you told me you were college students. What has it been like watching this over the last 24 hours or so, how it just unraveled?
It's been really frustrating because as a nation we thought we have come so far, but it seems like we're taking many steps back, so we want to come all together to change that and make sure we keep going forward.
Someone might say, hey, the vote's over. He's president, so why not move on? What would you guys say to that?
It's never over. It's never over. We can still fight. Our ancestors fought for so long. They fought so hard. It is not our time to give up right now.
It's not him. It's not Trump. Trump's a terrible person for other reasons.
Why is everybody against him, though?
Everybody's against him because it's incorrect. Why do you let celebrities rule your life?
I'm not letting celebrities rule my life.
You're about to. You let actors rule everything around you.
What do you think Bernie Sanders is? He's a celebrity.
Yeah, Bernie is he's terrible. I don't want any of them. Right. Fuck this government.
I said something that was kind of politically correct. I told y'all I didn't vote, right? But I didn't tell you. I guess I told you. But if I would have voted, I would have voted on Trump.